Miss Carrie Philbrick. Carrie, how are you today? Welcome to Tech Coach Live.
Hi, welcome. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
I am so excited to have you here. Greg, I'm going to let you go. Thank you so much for sticking around and jumping on, my friend.
Thank you for having me.
Now, Carrie, we've been having a great opportunity here to meet and talk to so many amazing tech coaches. Since 9 a.m. this morning, we are almost at the finish line. I can see it here. And when it comes down to everything, I think we can wrap up this whole entire conference on two concepts. It's all about relationships, and it's all about making sure that we are creating engaging and entertaining lessons, activities for our adult learners. Yep. You've got a lot of experience creating great stuff. Tell us a little bit about yourself, maybe some of the things you've done on your own for NCCE. Who is Carrie?
So I work for Wichita Public Schools in Wichita, Kansas. We are the biggest school district in Wichita. I have to say, so the position I have been in, I've been in this position about 3.5 years. And at first it started out very small, Last year we gained new leadership, and that new leadership came in like a bolt of lightning, and he turned us all the way around. And I have to say, I am so excited for this year. I know that we have a lot of nervous teachers. We have a lot of nervous students, but we have created some amazing PD, professional development, for our teachers for the month of August. So I join, we're joining that together. And right now we are looking at deploying, we have a district about 53,000 students. Wow. And then we probably have about 9,000 teachers, something like that. So since quarantine, I have been working nonstop. I have not stopped working. That's one thing. But so right after quarantine, we did training. And then starting in June, we did a surface deployment. So we have been deploying surfaces to our teachers. And I'm continually doing that. And then we will be deploying a one-to-one to our students, all within 30 days. That's what we're doing.
Let's take a deep breath on that.
I know, right?
And I'm glad that we have you here. I'm glad that I have you, on this. And, I'm going to try to keep this conversational for everybody. But I ever since our last virtual conference, and we had Rob Dixon on, yes, talking about first virtual school, you're bringing Microsoft in. Can I ask you a couple of questions about how and some of the inner workings of this? Because there's a lot in here that I think as tech coaches, we need to learn from. Mm-hmm. Okay, let's just dive in here. Your students are receiving Surface devices.
No, so they're going to be receiving, it depends on their grade level. Okay. So for our high school kiddos, they're going to get a laptop. And then middle school students will also get a laptop. And then we have 3 through 5th grade, they will also receive a laptop, but then our pre-K through 2 are getting iPads.
So the laptops, and this is the Microsoft question. Are they clamshell and thank you, or are they pen devices with touch? What do these devices look like? Because you guys are fully integrated at Microsoft.
Yes, we are absolutely. Ever since Rob came on, it was like full force. We're going Office 365, and I so much appreciate that because that's where all my applications come from. So they are going to be just standard laptops. They're not touchscreen, but all of our students have Office 365. And another great thing is all of our students now have email. We took a lot. There was a lot that went behind that. And I don't know what Rob did on his end. He worked his magic, making sure that our students stay safe with having that ability. But especially our high school students, wow. It's going to be amazing because now they're able to email colleges and get some applications out there with that email address. So it's been amazing. Our teachers, on the other hand, they will receive a Surface device.
Now, when we're looking at that, training on a Surface device is different than training on a laptop. You're not only training for applications, you're training for inking, and it's a different way of presenting, of teaching, of everything.
Right.
You said there's 9,000 staff members. How many coaches you call them coaches, right? How many people are supporting in a coaching professional development role to access 53,000 kids and 9,000 teachers?
Oh, let me see. There's me and about 4 to 5 others. That's about it. And we have been working nonstop. I mean, ever since quarantine, it has been full force going, training. We have me and 3 others working on the surface deployment, getting those out, training our teachers. So that's one of the biggest things that we want to do, is that when we deploy this machine to our staff members, we want to make sure that they know how to use it. So we show them tricks, we show them tips, how to connect, how to do all these things, how to use your pen. During mine, I make them take their keyboard off and I say, this keyboard's a crutch because we don't really need it. This device does everything it needs to do without the keyboard. So then I show them how to use their pen. I show them how to use their keyboard on the device. So, and then our other half of our tech team, they're working on PD throughout the whole month of August.
When you're looking at this, and I was thinking about this earlier when I think it was John who was dealing with Florida and a huge district, and what does this training look like? Is it all being created for you behind a screen they watch, or I'll just come right out and ask, do you have a really, really killer Tech Coach PD website that's got tons of stuff?
So, well, I have to say, I'm a little biased, but we have a really killer website.
Oh, drop your link in, please, because that's where I'm going with this, because it was a roundabout way just to get your links.
I will definitely have to get it for you. So let me kind of explain how we're doing this. First things first is the reason I'm excited about this is because we are so tech heavy, and we didn't used to be very tech heavy. Okay. So we have to be tech heavy. That's where we're going, right? That's the time we're living in. So how do we accomplish that with our teachers that maybe are a little hesitant in using technology in the classroom, because it didn't used to be. So they used to use it as almost like an extra instead of like incorporating it into their lesson plans. But now we've moved away from that. So what we do is our tech planning is more of the first week it was the why. Why are we doing this? And then it's the how. And then it's the application. So in the morning, they get an instruction and some professional development. They can either do self-paced learning. So we have some stuff out there for self-paced learning, or we have live events. We use Teams. Teams is our standard ecosystem that we use. And there's a reason we use Teams. And the reason is because of the analytics behind it. We're able to track, time, things like that. So they get that in the morning, and then in the afternoon, they're able to work with their teachers and they're building on application. So that's kind of how we're doing it. So we're scaffolding our PDs, and then a lot of pivoting. So I hear those words a lot, scaffolding, pivoting, because if something doesn't work correctly, what do we have to do? We have to pivot, right?
Great.
Talk to me a little bit about Teams, because my district has 13,000 students, 1,200 or so staff members. We're moving into Teams, and we're looking here at how to create the PD, and how to organize many tech coaches all together. Talk to us a little bit about how you started this. Maybe how do you organize this? Everybody have staff notebooks on top of staff notebooks. How do you train staff members? Sue, I'm sorry, I could just have these questions come out forever, because I'm really
awesome
fascinated
stuff.
about this, right?
I'm loving this,
right?
area.
Because
I'm feeding off of that.
I'm in a situation right now where I'm trying to figure out how do you start this culture change as a macro level, and also at the tech coach level, to then go smaller to the classroom level, to then bounce it back.
Right. Absolutely. I completely understand that. So I've been training on Teams for a year now. Ever since Rob came on August 1, and it's been full force Teams training. Now, it wasn't everyone on Teams at first, of course. So there was a little bit here, a little bit there. But as soon as that spring break hit, we didn't even have a spring break. I was nervous all spring break. But that was full force Teams training. And so how we kind of did it was we kept it simple. We had bullet points, we're going to cover this and this and this in Teams 1 training. And then in Teams 2 training, we're going to cover this and this and this. And then the availability to have people be able to go back and rewatch it. So that was done district-wide. I mean, we had that available district-wide. And then we did Teams Live is what we did. Mm-hmm. So then we could have, a number of people join us. And then we had a moderator. So we had a presenter and then a moderator. The moderator was taking care of questions. And then we had those links available for people to go back and rewatch them. And we just didn't train on Teams. I mean, we trained on all different kinds of stuff.
I would assume that your stream is pretty well organized with all the different channels and all that great stuff.
Well, I hope so.
What are some of the hurdles that you had? I mean, again, I'm pushing the conference aside for just a couple seconds as I pick your brain on this. But as somebody who's helping a district to take these steps, what were some of the big challenges?
Well, one of the biggest challenges is that before Rob came, there wasn't really a plan to have almost like a device turnover. So we had elementary school teachers who haven't had a new device in 7-8 years. I mean, their devices, it took forever for them to start. So that's one of the biggest things when Rob was able to come in and he was able to get a plan in place to have these teachers kind of have a device rotation type plan. So that has truly tremendously helped. The other hurdle is really, you've got, and I've been listening to some of the tech conference this morning, a lot of hesitation, especially with teachers that they're not used to tech. They're not comfortable. And so I always think we have to empower those people. We have to give them the confidence because we have the confidence. I mean, we have the ability to do it. We just have to build their confidence to allow them to realize, hey, I got this.
Now, was your district Microsoft before Rob came, or was it Google, or was it something else?
It was actually Google. I was the only one in the district at the time that was Microsoft certified. And go ahead.
Tell me I've got 1,000 questions. I'm sorry. Tell me about the moment when you guys said, we're leaving Google Classroom and we're going to jump to OneNote class notebooks. And what was that like?
So when Rob came, I think I knew Rob for about a week before he pulled me aside and said, hey, we're going to Office 365. And I was like, yes, we still have Google Classroom in our school buildings. However, just probably within the last week, that's when it really kind of was issued that we're going to go more of a standard with Microsoft and Microsoft Teams. And again, the reason behind that is, we are responsible to report minutes to the state. And so we can do that with Teams. If we happen to go remote, that's something that we have behind the scenes. So that's really kind of where we're at. There's been a lot of work behind the scenes too to do the student sync where it throws them into a team with the teacher. Mm-hmm. So we have that also incorporated with our student system.
Talk to us a little bit about the trainings, because are you mostly looking at doing virtual? Are you mostly looking at using give me the typical day of a tech coach now, especially moving into this whole hybrid thing?
For me personally, I have been on Surface deployment for the whole month of, I will be for the whole month of August and into a little bit of September, because we have all elementary schools and then our high school staff, and then as well as our middle schools. So that's what I'll be doing. So I've been hitting 3 schools a day. Of course, social distancing, using masks, all that, what we need to do to stay safe. But as far as our PD sessions that we've been doing, like I said, a lot of it in the morning has been kind of that training, and then in the afternoon, teachers, and they're all at their building. So this is all remote. Okay, so they're at their buildings, and then our tech team is either at the main building or wherever they're presenting. And then in the afternoon, that's when the teachers can get together and they have that opportunity to apply whatever they've learned that morning.
I assume that when you're making this shift, this is all coinciding with strategic plans. I'm assuming that this is all going into where do we want to see things, not just, hey, Rob's here, we're going Microsoft. Talk to us a little bit about that process that you went through last year, how the decision, I don't want to say how Microsoft, but how does the decision to go 365 get wrapped into your strategic plan, and how does all of that support you as a tech coach to help you move your district forward?
You know, that was really, we had a lot of limitations prior because we didn't use OneDrive and we had network drives basically. And so we weren't able to really share and collaborate, with using OneDrive and Office 365 because it wasn't open in our tenant just yet. So that's why a lot of our tech team had gone to Google because Google, they were able to use those. So of course, this is a whole different mind shift from where we went Google to Microsoft. But I have to say that it's been a pretty seamless transition, in my opinion. It's been a pretty seamless transition since majority of Google and Microsoft are very similar in their ways,
Talk to us a little bit about the admins, because I know a lot of times when a district makes that transition, it's not about teachers, it's not about classrooms, it's building the philosophy, building the capacity. No, you can't do this, you should be doing this, or even more so, this is the right way of this. Talk to us a little bit about, you've got a Microsoft background, you've got a tech coaching background. How are you changing the culture as you're also changing the applications?
So I remember when Rob first came on and he said, and this is not meant in any way bad, but there's a reason he said it, is principals are your number one person, because that leadership, it always starts at the top, right? And then it flows down. So we've done extensive work with not only our district leadership team, our academic leadership team, as well as principals across the board. We've trained them on how to use, their Surface whenever they're using it in their building, to get them to kind of, model that in front of their teachers, showing them. I just had a session, like 2 weeks ago, where I did all secondary principals, showing them how to use their device. And you wouldn't believe, I wasn't collecting their old devices, but they were just handing them to me. Like, here you go. I want this, And so it's been really impressive that our administration has really taken hold of this, because I think that they know that we need this. That's kind of where we're headed. We're headed very tech heavy, and so we need to really have that in place.
So let me interject here, you tech coaches out there that are listening, whether you're a Surface and a Microsoft district or a Google and a Chromebook and an iPad district, what Carrie is telling you is golden just in your approach to PD and what's working and what's not and how to approach it. So if you're a new tech coach out there, I hope you're taking notes or rewatch this video, because this is just great stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. And I am full force on helping my principals do whatever they can. And then that way they have the tools and the training needed to help their staff as well.
How often do you get a chance to meet with administrators? Let's just back up for a second. How many buildings, how many principals? How often do you get a chance to work with them? What does that look like?
Well, okay, so 3 years ago when I started in this position, it was very kind of limited, I want to say, to who I trained. And now it's like I don't even have a standard of who I train. It's across the board pretty much. I've trained everywhere from, our administration to I've done PDs for our custodial staff, which I tell you are probably one of the most important people as well in our school buildings. Love our custodial staff. So it's really about kind of the tools and giving them the ability and techniques to not only save time, but learn new things and really kind of embrace this. So how often do I work with them? All the time. I mean, I have principals reaching out.
And what?
Oh, go ahead.
I mean, and what does that look like? And this is coming from the we're new to Teams. Do you have a team set up, and then the principals just ping you back and forth? Are you constantly meeting, teamsing back and forth? I mean, we're trying to figure out right now what, other than Teams does meeting. We get that, but how is the communication tool? How do we train people to not do email, but to just use it as a communication tool? Could you talk a little bit about how did you, again, that culture shift? This is what Teams is for. Just use this. Stop emailing. Just use this because it's all here, and there's a record of it. And how is that communication worked out?
So one of the best things I love about Teams is that I'm able to just send a chat. It's just instant message. I can send a chat to a principal or whoever. Not only that, if someone pings me and I don't know the answer, I can add somebody on that chat and say, hey, do you mind helping them? Then I'm able to also call them and they can share their screen. I can share their screen or my screen, and then I can also remote in. All of this without using our VPN system, which has been fabulous because sometimes VPN doesn't always work that well. So it's a lot of communication. It's a lot of organization. It's like when I need to speak to a principal, if they call me or whatever, I can answer right there, and then I can take over. If they're having an issue or they need help on something, I can have them share their screen real quick with me, and then I can look and tell them kind of how to do it and where to go and whatever. So it has been probably one of the most useful tools we've used in our district.
We've got a very active audience out here on both Facebook and YouTube. I want to bring up a question here from Eric. He says, your principal sounds amazing. He is. What was his strategy to get everybody to buy into this technology? You said you came in 1 year. Before I let Carrie take that question, Eric, if you go on to our TeacherCast YouTube channel, 4 weeks ago when we did our Microsoft show, Rob Dixon, who's awesome, MIE, NCCE trainer, all those great things, did an entire presentation of how the district did this. So first I want to introduce you to that. I'll even give you guys the link. I'll send it to you later, my friend. But Carrie, can you give the story from your point of view? How did this person come in? How did it work? Was it scary? How did he introduce himself to get buy-in from the district, from the stakeholders, et cetera?
And also there's an addition to that now. How did he empower you to be able to do your job as a tech coach better?
Okay, so, wow, how did he do it? That's a good question. I have no idea.
Rob's awesome.
No, no, actually, Rob has a very extensive background in technology, of course. So he came in very confident. He knew exactly what he wanted to do, and he saw the needs of our district. Not only did he see the needs of our district, but he devised a plan to change that. Is what he ended up doing. A device rotation strategy. I mean, it's been life-changing, honestly. And I remember him telling me, you're a rock star. You're a rock star. You're going to be able to do this. And that empowered me enough to know, okay, he has my back. He understands that I love training. I love coaching our staff, our administrators, whoever. I love that. I love to empower them. And he gives me the freedom to do so. I mean, he trusts that I'm going to do what I need to do to help our staff and to really invest in them. So I would definitely, though, go back and look at his video on how he really devised that plan. I was involved, but I wasn't fully immersed inside of that plan.
Yeah, definitely check that out. Again, I'll send that to you, Eric. It was an amazing presentation that he did. And I'm just sitting there. I remember watching and just going, oh, yeah. Total everything. Even with esports, I mean, wow. That's all I got to say. Wow. If you haven't heard of esports, you gotta check it out. What are you looking forward to this year? What are you looking forward to when it comes to working with staff, maybe getting into schools, if that's even possible? What do you got going in the first couple of weeks here after you just take a breath?
Oh, wow. Do I get a breath? I wasn't told I got a breath. No. So what do I expect? I really honestly expect to continually build our learning library on the different tools that we'll be using to keep building that PD. Not only that, I'm sure that I'm going to be, I'm actually new to the MIE expert community this year. So this is my first year.
Congratulations.
Thank you. My first year joining that. There's five from our district that got in. And so nice. Definitely learning more about that and then using those tools to bring to our staff to be able to empower them, teach them how to use these different things. And then giving them the resources. I really think that, and that's one of the biggest things that I like to do. So during a PD session or any type of training that I do with our staff, I like to not only keep it simple, I like to empower them, but I also like to give them resources because I'm not going to always be available. And so I have places that I'll send them that I'm like, hey, check these out. And then that way they can do that kind of intrinsic learning, that they have. So that's kind of where I go with that. But it's going to be a lot of tech heavy type, probably PD sessions, all kinds of stuff. Who knows what this year holds?
Who sets that curriculum? Do you have a group that says we're doing Teams training and these are the things for step one? Is that on the tech coaches? Is that on a committee? At what point does somebody say we need Teams training, and then how does it get broken down and how does it get organized across 9,000 teachers? And
Sure. Yeah, absolutely. So when quarantine hit, of course, it was literally Rob and I doing training for the district. Like the second day after quarantine, we had other tech coaches come on. So it was pure training then. So how it has worked this year through the month of August is my teammates work with curriculum and they work with learning services, a department in our district. And so they kind of determine, what do we need? What does our staff need? What kind of tools do they need to kind of help? If we go remote, this is really going to help them and build them up.
One of the things that I know that you guys have had over the last year and a half with Rob is not just a great team internally, but I know you've had a great team externally. Talk to us a little bit about the support, the help, the partnership that you guys have had from great companies such as Microsoft and especially from NCCE.
Yeah, Microsoft has been amazing with us. They've worked with us. We have a weekly call with them that we get on and we address any sort of, if we have any issues or anything, they help us figure those out. One of the things that, I hear a lot of is give your feedback to Microsoft because they do listen. And so I definitely encourage our staff that if they see something that can be improved on, to definitely give that feedback to them because they are constantly working. I just don't even know the amount of upgrades and things that they have done since March. The other partnership we had was with NCCE. And so I was able to meet Shannon and have her group come out and kind of help assist us in training and planning. And they have been a huge part also of this, professional development planning for the month of August as well. Because to be honest, there's how many? 5 of us. To train a whole district, that's a lot. That is a lot. And then you take half of us out of that equation because we're also doing deployment. So we have a great partnership with NCCE. They've been able to come in and really help us and get that training out.
And what does that look like? Does that look like building lessons? Does that look like ordering a lesson that a group like NCCE already has? is that just is it a phone call? What does it look like when you work with a great company like an NCCE, Microsoft, et cetera?
So a lot of it is, okay, this is kind of what we need type thing, because we know our district best, right? So we would go to them, here's kind of what we're looking for, and then they are able to kind of come in and accommodate as far as, okay, this person knows this product best or this tool best, and they're able to kind of give those sessions to someone who is an expert in that realm.
Nice.
Yeah.
As we move forward, Sue, it's great to know that there's amazing stuff out there. And
Yes.
it's great to know, I've been saying this all day, as a tech coach, I'm not alone, but right now, just listening to Carrie's story, knowing that my district is not alone and that there's others out there who have made this journey and made this trek. And there are the Microsofts, the NCCEs, the Google applications. And our next session is all about how do we get support? Where do we get support? How do we build this PLN, not only for ourselves, but for our districts? Carrie, I know you didn't sign up for the interrogation here, but thank you so much. I am looking forward to learning so much from you over the next little bit. Please, 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 if you can do us a favor, please come back on the show. We would love to have you guys share everything that's going on here.
Yes, I would too. I'm completely proud of really where my district is going. And I definitely look forward to this year, even though I know that there's a lot of hesitation and reservation, but I look forward to it because this is really where I thrive, is in that tech world.
If you have any questions about Wichita or anything, I did put the link in the chat, but it'll certainly be over on TeacherCast. You can head on over to our YouTube channel and look for a video called Forming Partnerships with Your Educational Community. The session that Rob did a few weeks ago at Live from NCCE was absolutely awesome, and I would encourage anybody to check it out on our YouTube channel. Carrie, say hello to Rob for us. And thank you so much for coming on. Where can we go to learn more about you? Give us your links and give us your Twitters there.
So my Twitters is it is at Miss Carrie 21, MISCARRIE. I think I have it on the screen there. And I just kind of use that for a lot of, hey, this is what we're doing in our district. So there's a lot of information that we post out on there. But that's kind of the main one I use. And then also my LinkedIn, which is Carrie Philbrick.
You've been listening to the TeacherCast Educational Network, hosted by Jeff Bradbury. Please reach out to the show with all of your questions on Twitter @TeacherCast or online at www.teachercast.net. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss any future episodes. And please take a moment to write a review in the App Store.